What does it reveal about America's war on drugs when a national park resembles a cartel battlefield more than a peaceful hiking trail?
The agency says rangers removed more than 2,000 full-grown marijuana plants, as well as 2,000 pounds of trash and infrastructure. The site also contained several hazardous chemicals.
We're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject.
I think it is bigger than marijuana. It may be an attempt to probe our defenses.
Helicopters touched down in Sequoia National Park, not carrying tourists, not rushing to a fire, but ripping cartel-grown weed straight out of the earth. Rangers yanked plants from the soil, hauled away tons of toxic waste dangling from sling loads, and dismantled the remnants of a criminal camp that had turned pristine wilderness into a war zone. That's how a hidden grow site was branded as a cartel invasion on U.S. soil, the very fight Trump now vows to target head-on. But the deeper you dig, the dirtier the truth becomes. So let's break it down. When the story hit California, it wasn't the marijuana that terrified people.
Rangers removed an illegal marijuana cultivation site from the Sequoia National Park. National Park Service sent over these photos. Check it out.
No. People always knew California was dotted with weed farms, some licensed, some not. But nothing close to this scale. And certainly not inside a national park. What law enforcement uncovered looked more like an industrial zone than a hidden grow. 377 marijuana plants, irrigation lines snaking like veins through the forest, and chemicals so hazardous the cleanup was stalled for nearly a year. That was the real nightmare. Because toxins that strong don't just sit in the soil, they spread. To creeks, to wildlife, to nearby homes. One of them, methamidifos, banned in the U.S. since 2009, was found by the gallon. Just a single jug can poison a water system, kill off animals, or sear human skin on contact. As one ranger put it bluntly, these grows are nothing short of biological weapons hidden in the woods. And the question hung heavy. How did it all stay hidden for so long? The camp sprawled across 13 acres of protected land. Creeks had been diverted into holding pits. Vegetation ripped away, hillsides carved into terraces. Rangers even stumbled across makeshift kitchens, signs of poaching, and a semi-automatic pistol left behind, less a tool, more a warning. But if that discovery rattled the public, the bigger warning came with the history behind it. This wasn't a one-off operation. For 2 decades, trafficking networks have been planting deep inside Sequoia and Kings Canyon. Nearly 300,000 plants seized in total, and every time one site is torn down, another emerges farther in, hidden longer, growing bigger, and leaving behind even more destruction.
This upscale California suburb is a glimpse into an underground world where authorities say a Chinese crime ring feeds America's black market.
Police, search warrant, demand entry!
Doors and windows heavily fortified at 3 different homes on the same block in this bedroom community of San Francisco. When officers finally break through, inside, it's a massive marijuana farm, a massive ventilation system running full blast. Intricate electrical setups to power lights and fans, a generator in the laundry room.
Somebody hold that up here.
Mold can be seen growing on walls and ceilings, runoff into makeshift drains, and room after room after room filled with marijuana.
The helicopters lifted out nearly 2,000 pounds of trash that day. But what they couldn't lift away was the reality. Sequoia is no longer just a national park. It's a cartel stronghold. And the crews behind it aren't stopping here. They're pushing closer to America's towns and suburbs. By 2025, Rangers had seized marijuana with an estimated black market value of $850 million. And that's only what's been caught. But it's not the numbers alone that have Washington on edge. It's the methods. These operations don't look like farms. They look like occupations. Crews cut 2-mile trail systems through protected wilderness, set up kitchens, carve out camps, and reroute entire creeks into pits for irrigation. Rangers report that the grows drain whole watersheds. California's Department of Fish and Wildlife warns that a single plant consumes 6 to 8 gallons of water a day, water meant for the Central Valley's crops and for families. And water theft is only the beginning. Evidence of poaching keeps surfacing, deer and small animals killed to feed workers living in the forest for months. Vegetation is stripped bare, toxic pesticides leach into runoff, and that runoff flows straight into public water systems. The result? Entire ecosystems gutted. Families downstream unknowingly drinking cartel waste, nearly 300,000 plants destroyed in national parks. Yet every raid feels like a drop in the bucket. Rangers call it whack-a-mole in the wilderness, a war they never seem to win. And then comes the twist. While rangers haul out barrels of poison and piles of contaminated trash, the political world debates whether marijuana even belongs in the same class of drugs as heroin. President Trump has begun hinting at a major federal shift, one that could redraw the entire map of who profits from cannabis in America. But here's the contradiction. Does reclassification solve an entrenched cartel problem, or hand them even more power? That's the crossroads America faces now. And inside the White House, the decision that could change everything is already on the table.
The Trump administration is considering changing the federal status of marijuana. Right now, it is a Schedule I drug. It's the same classification as heroin and LSD.
Washington is now weighing a dramatic shift, moving marijuana to Schedule III, right alongside codeine and steroids. We're looking at reclassification. We'll make a determination in the next few weeks. Hopefully, it will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject. President Trump. On paper, that change means softer penalties, expanded research, and a green light for the booming cannabis industry. It's not legalization, but it would open the door for scientists to explore therapeutic uses and for businesses to tap into a multi-billion-dollar market. For law enforcement, though, the message lands differently. How do you wage war against cartel weed while simultaneously loosening the rules on weed itself? Trump calls it complicated. On the ground, it's life or death. Reclassification wouldn't legalize marijuana, but it would slash federal penalties, unlock medical research, and bring national policy closer to the 24 states and D.C. that already allow recreational use. Analysts warn that if Trump makes the move, cannabis could shift almost overnight from crime to commodity. But here's the contradiction. While D.C. debates rescheduling, rangers are still pulling pistols out of the dirt, still finding toxic pesticides leaking into creeks, still catching cartel workers hidden deep inside America's parks. So while the White House frames this as progress, California is left cleaning up cartel camps that resemble chemical dumps more than farms. And this move isn't about freeing up prisons or decluttering the justice system. It's about something bigger.
Keep in mind, even though we've seen 6,000 marijuana-related arrests every year, most individuals incarcerated for marijuana offenses are still held under state, not federal law.
Prisoners already serving time for marijuana offenses won't walk free, reclassification or not. To red states, this is a political flashpoint. To California, it's a security crisis. And to cartels, it's a billion-dollar opportunity. Trump frames himself as the hammer smashing criminal grow sites. Yet in the same breath, he's dangling the first real federal step toward loosening marijuana laws in U.S. history. That's the double game, a crackdown and a concession rolled into one. And while the headlines chase Trump's sound bites, the reality on the ground looks very different. In California, SWAT teams are kicking down the doors of cartel-linked storefronts. Before dawn every week, suburban strip malls transform into battlegrounds, places where cartel profits are laundered, where weapons are stashed, where local communities discover just how close this war has crept.
We know you're inside. Come out with your hands up.
An early morning raid with overwhelming force aimed at a problem hidden in plain sight: illicit cannabis.
The stench of weed lingered in the air even before the smoke grenades cleared. Inside, officers dragged people out past piles of vape pens, thousands of them, a haul worth nearly $1.5 million. Tucked behind a bathroom toilet, they found something else: a pistol, waiting like a silent threat.
A lot of these vape pens are manufactured illegally, and the quality control is very harmful to the health of people that consume this item.
These weren't mom-and-pop dispensaries. According to police, they were fronts for organized crime, pushing contaminated products and washing cartel money through neighborhood shops. And yet, every takedown feels like a drop in the ocean, every bust more pointless than the last.
It's a whack-a-mole. Every time they get a place to get in, they get pushed out, and then they go find another.
Property managers on site admitted the truth. Raids had been happening every 4 to 6 weeks for the last 2 years. Owners claimed they were selling vitamins or gold, but behind the facade was black market cannabis. This is the Portland Police Department. Come out with your hands up. Meanwhile, the legal industry, taxed, shrinking, and suffocating, could barely compete. Organized crime was being chipped away, one detention, one confiscation, 1 gallon bag at a time. By nightfall, storefronts were padlocked. But nobody believed the war was won, not even the agents. They admitted the raids don't dismantle the system, they just drive it deeper underground. And that's when things get darker, when the fight shifts from strip malls into America's suburbs. Last year, CNN cameras rolled through upscale California neighborhoods where million-dollar homes looked ordinary from the outside. Inside, they were unrecognizable. Windows boarded up, rooms stripped bare. Every inch converted into a grow operation. These were family homes worth nearly $1 million, gutted into industrial greenhouses. Guest rooms turned nurseries. Light blocked off. Authorities found mold creeping up walls, makeshift drains cut across bedrooms, and generators roaring from laundry rooms. Posted inside were instructions, taped in Chinese, step-by-step guides for cultivation and processing. That's when investigators realized this wasn't just cartel territory anymore. This was the footprint of the Chinese mafia.
Nearly every grow house busted in Antioch, almost all of them, go back to a Chinese owner or occupant.
It's really the Chinese criminal syndicate that's dominant.
That's the disturbing part, the way it all connects. The Chinese mafia launders millions, traffics migrants, and converts million-dollar California homes into sprawling weed farms. One real estate agent was even caught owning 3 grow houses herself, flipping them again after raids, turning the black market into a real estate hustle. Senator Susan Collins didn't mince words. She called it a national security threat. And some officials have gone further, suggesting Beijing may know exactly what these syndicates are doing and is simply looking the other way.
Starting to see, as we unpack this, more ties between a lot of these growing operations and Chinese organized crime.
One thing is certain. These aren't just rogue neighbors. This is organized crime, hiding in plain sight. And it's not confined to California anymore. Reports this year show the networks are spreading nationwide, even into quiet states where no one ever imagined the cartels could reach.
Since January alone, local and federal law enforcement say they've raided over 40 unlicensed marijuana grows across the state at homes suspected to have ties to Chinese organized crime.
Small towns once proud of their clean air and low crime suddenly found themselves hosting industrial-scale grow-ops, hiding in plain sight. Neighbors recalled vans rolling up at the end of each month, loading product, and disappearing down the highway toward Brooklyn and Boston. When police finally busted the properties, they uncovered hundreds of plants, barrels of chemicals, and entire rooms converted into makeshift processing labs.
Outside a nondescript garage in the South Bronx, officers showed off their haul. 2,000 pounds of pot worth over $5 million and sold in flavors like gelato cake and chocolate drip, or masquerading as candy, star buds, almond weed, reefers.
Unlicensed cannabis operations like this one pose significant health risk. They could be potentially selling unregulated and untested product that can make people sick and also cause overdoses.
The joint investigation led by the New York City Sheriff busted the massive business known as Budzotic. In this video obtained by Eyewitness News, you could see how the inside of the garage had been converted into a marijuana marketplace, and a popular one, according to the neighbors. Cops found other drugs like crystal meth, along with this gun and wads of cash. They arrested 11 people inside, the very same suspects they took down right here last summer for what at the time was the city's biggest bust ever.
Maine is the latest hotspot among 23 states, now home to grows run by Chinese criminal groups, according to the DEA.
It is bigger than marijuana. It may be an attempt to probe our defenses.
The FBI director hasn't confirmed direct orders coming from Beijing, but a congressional investigation uncovered that the Chinese Communist Party holds stakes in companies linked to drug trafficking and money laundering. In other words, the massive weed grows may be just a facade, a cover for something much bigger. And here comes the most chilling twist. The Chinese aren't acting alone. According to the DEA, Mexican cartels have been joining forces with them, and doing so far longer than most officials care to admit. The DEA's 2025 National Drug Assessment lays it out in black and white.
Are taking over the illegal marijuana industry. That's according to the latest report from the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Together, they've engineered an underground supply chain that runs from California's forests straight into America's suburbs, fueling U.S. streets and feeding foreign markets alike.
Both Chinese and Mexican transnational criminal organizations have exploited state laws across the country when it comes to the legalization of marijuana, leading to these criminal groups taking over the black market marijuana industry. That's according to the DEA's new 2025 National Drug Assessment Report.
Cartels control the outdoor grows, the vast forest camps scattered across Sequoia, San Bernardino, and rural Northern California. They import laborers, often undocumented migrants, who are trafficked, underpaid, or in many cases forced to work against their will.
Bringing in Mexican nationals, bringing in Chinese immigrants as well, and basically bringing them in as the labor force within these grow sites, promising them payment, not paying these guys, kind of extorting and keeping them around.
Meanwhile, Chinese syndicates are scooping up suburban homes and rural properties, converting them into indoor grow houses. Behind boarded windows, they run massive farms that push product across the U.S. and overseas. Through underground banking networks centered in New York, they launder billions, funneling profits back to mainland China. It's a seamless system. Drug proceeds flow into Chinese banking hubs, then vanish back across the Pacific. It's a perfect marriage of power and profit. Cartels provide the manpower and territory. Chinese groups provide the infrastructure and the laundering. Together, they've turned the black market into an $8 billion giant, far larger than the legal trade. And here's the nightmare. The DEA confirms that much of this cartel weed isn't even staying in America. It's being trafficked abroad, to Britain, France, Spain, major buyers in a global expansion. Which means Sequoia's poisoned creeks and Maine's gutted homes are only the beginning. The DEA now warns the Chinese-Mexican alliance is exporting across the Atlantic. Chinese syndicates grow it, demand stretches across the U.S. and Europe, and Mexico provides the muscle. Together, they've built a pipeline of weed that runs from California's forests straight into European cities, hidden behind the facade of legalization. The real nightmare is scale. California's illicit market alone is worth $8 billion a year, double the size of the regulated one. With weak penalties, many growers treat fines as nothing more than a cost of doing business. That broken system gives cartels oxygen. Licensed growers bleed under crushing taxes, while unlicensed operators profit with no regulation and no oversight. Even legal shop owners admit they're on the brink of collapse. Just last month, a coalition of cannabis business owners wrote to Governor Gavin Newsom, warning the entire industry is collapsing under high taxes and relentless black market competition. And this is where Trump's double game explodes. On one hand, he sends helicopters into national parks to rip out 2,377 pesticide-laced plants. On the other, he goes on CBS and floats reclassifying marijuana to a softer federal category. Reclassification could reduce penalties, open doors for research, and bring policy closer to what many states already allow. But critics warn it won't stop the Chinese-Mexican alliance from swallowing the market. If anything, it could give cover for even more illegal growth in states with weak enforcement. So the brutal question remains, which America wins? The taxed, limping legal industry, or the cartels that turn forests into toxic dumps and neighborhoods into crime fronts? Rangers can burn plants in Sequoia, but unless the system itself changes, those same cartels will keep moving plants, people, and profits, slowly but surely, into every corner of the world.